Alright guys, so welcome back, and today I have with me a little box of the new Horizon or Blade Nano FPV, Nano QX FPV. Importantly, it's an FPV and it has like a little camera here. It's available in two versions, with and without goggles. And since I already have goggles, I bought the bind and fly, which is all you need to hook it up to an existing radio and an existing set of goggles or another video screen. There's a back side of the box here, and importantly, there's no tools required. It says fully assembled, bind and fly, and with exceptional control and safe technology. So you need to use any DSM-2 or DSM-X transmitter. It mentions that right here. So if you have any transmitter that works with a nano anything, you can fly this as it is. I have an old 5-channel DSM-2 probably transmitter that I picked up for about $50. It's great, and it's also nice that it's not the little joystick thing, but it's more the kind of radio you would be flying FPV with. So this one is ready to go, and let's see what's in the box. Inside here, we find it's a very Spartan little outfit here. Here is the aircraft with a little bit of tape on it. And let's just take a real quick look at it. I'm gonna try to hold this so you all can see. Up here there's a camera right here, and up here is a mushroom circular polarizer antenna. This is important because it gives you more reach for video. And down we also need a battery somewhere in this box. And here we go. There's a charger, and I'm gonna put that right here for a minute. And here is the battery. The batteries goes in with, they have like this knob thing here. So you just kind of push it in right there like that, and now it's in that. And I have a car USB thing, so I can charge this in the car or anywhere, just like that. That didn't come in the kit. Any gas station has one. That's the battery, and let's put that in the little mini quad here. The battery has the folded over tab here, and there's base down here. So you're gonna just kind of grab it and shove it in. Now it's in pretty good, and they also painted a red dot on the battery and a red dot on the power cable. So you can then do like this. And that should turn it all on. It's blinking inside. That's a good start. I'm gonna unplug it again for a minute. And what else we have in the box? In the box is a manual. Blade is really good at supplying the manuals. It's a pretty thick one too. And there is also a set of spare propellers right here. There is 2 clear ones and 2 baby blue ones. And they've been putting the clear ones in front so that you'll get better traction. There's all these 2 little O-rings, and I'm gonna show you what they're for. So I don't think there's a need for me to unpack this really. Let's just take it out anyway. Here's the manual. Quite a thick manual, and a smart bind information card in case you can't get this to bind. So that's all we need right now. Let's take it out, putting the propellers back in the box, and get this out of our way. Let's move to this, because right next to me here is my Align 480. It's an M480. And up here on top of it, oh, there's a piece of tape I just dropped from this thing. It's still stuck on my fingers there. On top right here, you can see here is a flight camera, and here's a flight camera. So let's take this canopy, and you can see those little O-rings right there maybe. That's the O-rings that you got spares of. We pull that out to the side, and we're gonna pull the other side out also, like this, there. So that's the entire aircraft right here. Notice these really cool bumpers out here. They keep the propellers from running into stuff. So if you hit the wall, you're probably still gonna be flying. And if you hit a friend, he isn't gonna get hurt. So let's take this off, because this is really, that's a shell. You can buy that loose. I have no idea why you want to fly with it on other than looking cool. Up here is the camera. And that is a genuine Fat Shark camera, and it actually came with a little Fat Shark sticker that I already yanked off it. And you can kind of see how when I twist this, the propeller or the antenna moves a little bit. My biggest bug with this is that the camera actually moves a little bit in its rocker. So when I set it down and I turn it on and I look out through the goggles, I have to kind of check that the camera is level, because it's hard to fly when the camera is not level. So you always have to check that, but let's do a real quick check. Here is the camera. It's pretty big and it's sitting on top so I can look out while I fly this big aircraft. You can see the propeller is folded here, and you can see this entire thing can sit on the propeller of that Line 480. Here is, next to the camera is the receiver, and here is the antennas. When you look on top of this, you will see a receiver. And I don't think I can get that antenna out, but there's a little antenna right here. It's like a red, and if you fold that up, you get better reception for longer distance. You see that? So that's the antenna for the control system, and here's the antenna for the video system. But that red one is the control system. Here's the receiver and the controller. Here's the receiver, and here's the controller, that silver box, these two boxes here, and the GPS in the back. So what I'm after here is, this particular aircraft is built identically to this. It's just smaller. The cool thing about that is, those of us who fly FPV can use this literally anywhere. And if you know how to fly this, you can fly this. And kind of, if you know how to fly this, you can also fly this, except this is a lot bigger. And honestly, there's a lot more horsepower, which is gonna get away from you eventually. You should step up a couple more steps in between before you go from that to that. But you can see the motors, how they're sitting in the transparent frame here. They're really easy to change. All you have to do is pop them out, and they have little plugs underneath here, so they're easy to deal with. So this is an easy little in-your-home aircraft. Yeah. Okay, so this is not making my life easy. I had to put it down on the table, because when I'm holding it in my hand, the gyro cannot initialize. So I had to put it on the table. I powered it up, then I held up this switch on the shoulder here while I powered on the radio, and then it bound. Notice also you can go from the blue light to red light. What that means is you're in acro mode. I'm just gonna use the blue light, and I'm gonna stick it right here, and we're gonna see if we can get it to take off real quickly. I have controls here. It's running. That actually is very easy to fly, but there's of course not a whole lot of space right here. But importantly, you can see how the controls right now is very much micro movements. It's not making big movements, and it's very, very easy to keep it in place. So this is really a great indoor flyer. Let's get a little more height on this. I think we can get it back where we came from. Ah, almost gave myself a shave here. I'm gonna land on the table. All right, well, sometimes you just gotta know when not to push your luck. Anyway, here it is. Now, one of the things about this is, like I told you before, you charge by using this little thing, then you just plug into your laptop, into any USB outlet. You can charge from your iPhone charger if you have an iPhone. Now, I have had a hard time with batteries because I had a bunch of these things. Let's unplug this again. This gets me about 4 to 5 minutes of flight time, and I gotta tell you, no other micro aircraft flies as good as this. Not that I have tried. and I have been flying this thing, which is the Proto X FPV. The Proto X FPV actually works very good and it records 720p, but it doesn't do micromanage the moves. It always does a pretty big little roll. It flies longer. It's also really heavy, so it's hard to fly indoor. The little Nano FPV is brilliant to fly indoor. So that is right here for me flying indoor. This feels like an FPV aircraft, and it doesn't have the big moves. It moves very subtly, so it's easy to fly. And now the batteries, this is a 45C, 160 milliamp, 150 milliamp 45C. The problem I've run into is most of these other batteries I have doesn't last very long. I finally found the Electron Pro, these ones here, and they seem to do pretty good. I get about 3 to 5 minutes of flying. And that's these ones here, Electron Pro, and that has done really good for me. But really what you want to do is you want to get to Blade's website and you want to order the 150 milliamp 45C. If you don't get the 45C, because I have some 35Cs from Blade, and trust me, they suck. They do not work as good as this one. So the 45C is the one you want. Anything else is just not going to get you the flight time you want. So there it is. There's one more thing I have to say. Like I mentioned before, this is available in a kit with a pair of Fat Shark goggles. The Fat Sharks are I believe they're called Teleporters version 3, the new ones. And they have an interesting feature in them. Basically, you can set them to head tracking and they'll take the video from this camera, and if you move the head, it will zoom around inside that video. It doesn't actually give head tracking, so you can't look sideways here, even though that's what you would expect. It just blows up the video and then lets you look around in that video. So it's kind of cool that you can turn your head and look around. But if you're flying FPV, you really don't want that. The other thing is, those goggles are fairly expensive because they're charging you a lot for them. I just ended up using my regular Fat Shark goggles, and I always recommend getting something like either the Dominators or the Attitude goggles, because they're head and shoulders better than the ones that they offer with this. Just don't get them. They're not worth the money unless you don't already have goggles and wants to get into goggles without spending a lot of money. Because if you buy Attitudes or Dominators, you should expect to spend about $200 more for a set of goggles than what you do when getting the ones with this kit here. Of course, if you're just starting out, maybe get the ones in the kit, and then as you go forward, buy a pair of really nice goggles and use the kit goggles for passengers. Let friends ride along. You can put them on some friends and they can see video also. So that the other way, and okay, so there's one more thing here. This one, the Proto X FPV, have a memory card slot on the back, and it actually records video. This one does not. Now the Proto X is very hard to fly indoors in confined spaces. This thing, I can fly under my own furniture with it. It's brilliant. It's very easy to fly in confined spaces, but it does not record. So I am using the DVR, the recorder, in my Fat Shark Dominator goggles. The other option is I have a couple of screens. I have a screen about this big that has a built-in DVR. So you can set it up, pull the antenna up, and then record video from it directly to the screen. And that way you can then use the video on something else. But right now I'm recording through my Fat Shark DVRs. And the last thing I need to mention, we'll notice since we have the helical polarized antenna right here, or the circular polarized antenna, you need a similar mushroom antenna on your goggles or on the receiver screen, because without a circular polarizer, you're not going to get a good signal. With the circular polarizer, you actually get a surprisingly good signal and good video from this thing. So I'm really loving this thing. And what did I do to the shell? I pitched the shell already. I have been flying this already naked at home. I've been flying the aircraft undressed without the shell I am of course wearing clothes while I fly. Don't misunderstand this. So there it is, the new Blade Nano FPV, probably the most pilot-friendly micro FPV on the market right now. I'm having a great time with it and highly recommend it. The B&F kit is about $150. So for the money, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a better FPV kit. It has the right type transmitter, it has the right type camera, and it has the right amount of coverage that it's comfortable to fly FPV. And the training, the experience you get from this is gonna give you the same understanding in your mind of how to fly a bigger or like a mini quad racing FPV later. So a real quick comparison, in my opinion, last year I looked at the X4, and the X4 is directly translated into the X4 did not record, but it's directly translated into the Proto X FPV, and that is a pretty heavy and a bit rough flying aircraft, whereas this one here has a much better flight controller, but it does not record, remember that. But if you're planning to get into micro quad racing, like micro FPV, the Blade Nano FPV is definitely the ticket to get into it, because this flies the way a higher end FPV aircraft does. It's just really small, really light. It has got prop guards, it doesn't crash into your walls, and it doesn't hurt your friends. So it's a low powered, easy to practice on, awesome little mini FPV aircraft. I'm liking it. I had a really good and have a really good time flying with it. So if you think about one of these, I highly recommend it. For $150, it's a lot of fun. Check it out and stay tuned for more videos, and also check out my blog.